we are going to go through, or I'm going to make a presentation on University 101, a survival guide. Now, the reason I'm going to do this is because some of you may find it useful, some of the information I have in here, in other words, how to work with faculty or why faculty do the things they do, and then other things that go on at the university. This is originally done for seniors in high school and their parents, so you'll have to excuse the occasional cartoons. So, yeah, there you go. So you're going to college, and you will make new friends. Let's see, do you know where some of these are from? These are all movies. Revenge of the Nerds down there, and Animal House all the way at the top. All right, that is going to be required viewing for all of you. You must watch Animal House. That's how a university works, all right? And of course, Monsters University. So you'll have some fun. Animal House again. Take exciting classes. Hey, you've seen that room, haven't you? That was my embedded class last year. I think they're sleeping. You'll meet some interesting faculty. Groucho Marx. And so what kind of a student are you going to be? And, you know, this is kind of applicable, as I said, for you now, so you'll get to understand what's going on here at the university. All right, will you survive? Animal House. So it's a survival guide. So first of all, I'm going to take a look at the goal of a university and use our university as an example. Tell you about the organization, academics, and tenure, and then some advice later on. So first of all, university goals. A university goal is a lot different from all of the institutions in the state of North Carolina. Think of us. Well, we declare ourselves North Carolina's Urban Research University. So we're in the largest metropolitan area, among the fastest growing universities in the UNC system. And by the way, there are 16 college campuses in the system. Well, you know what they are, right? UNC Chapel Hill, NC State, Fayetteville State, Elizabeth State, UNC Greensboro, UNC Asheville, UNC Wilmington, North Carolina A&T, NC Central, blah, 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 on and on and on, all right? Now, each one of those has a different meaning, like UNC, or a different goal. UNC Asheville is the state's undergraduate liberal studies university. They don't have really many master's degrees, all right? App State, they may have maybe something more mountainy as their goal. ECU is the state's party university, right? All right, how is a university funded? According to, let's see, the academic year 2013, I need to get new numbers, but that's a good example. This university spent $500 billion on everything, all right? So where's all this money come from? Well, the state budget only covers 38% of the money needed for this university. Tuition, only 31%. Other sources are 31%, like research grants. That's I can go out and get money to do advanced research on quadrotors, or I have I have an all-terrain vehicle that runs around. You know what an ATV is, right? I have an autonomous ATV. Did you know that? It's in our garage. Did you know that Epic has a garage? All right, so I have it in the garage. And I don't ride it around too much. I need to ride it more often. Food services, dorm costs, even parking fees and parking fines. Oh, actually, I take that back. Parking fines, 85% of a parking fine goes back to the state. We only see 15% for administration. And then actually parking pays for itself. In other words, all of the all of the decks and parking lots and people working there are covered by parking fees. So it's completely separate from the state. But again, tuition only covers 31% of what goes on here. So how is it organized? Oh, do you know who this guy is up there? That's Dean Wormer, Animal House. You got to watch that movie, all right? So at our university, the head of everything is called the chancellor. His name is Phil Dubois, and Phil is in charge of, oh, look at this. He has people working for him that worry about the students. In other words, the vice chancellor for student affairs. There's a vice chancellor and provost. That's in charge of the academic aspect. That's Joan Lorden in our university. Vice chancellor for business, athletics director. There's a couple of other smaller ones up there, which I don't have written down because, you know, it's smaller thing. But look at it. Athletics director reports to the chancellor. Interesting. And in fact, everything associated with academics reports to the chancellor, and it's totally separate. So underneath the provost, Joan Lorden, is the deans of all of the colleges that we have. And we have 7 colleges. Business, computing, education, engineering, arts and sciences, arts and architecture, health and human resources, and actually we also include in there the graduate school is underneath the provost as well. And inside of the College of Engineering, we have 5 different departments. Obviously, you're all in electrical and computer engineering. Then there is civil, systems, mechanical, and then engineering technology. Now, in each department, you will have full professors, associate professors, assistant professors, instructors, staff members as well. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about what the professor rank means. But keep in mind that the academic function is organized in these different colleges, and they're really responsible for their own program. But you will take courses in other colleges, right? How many of you have taken a math course? Everyone, right? Chemistry, physics. That's all under the Liberal Arts and Sciences College. Some of you may have taken a computer science course, or, oh, for sure, some of the liberal studies courses are offered from faculty in arts and architecture, like dance appreciation or something like that. Now, keep in mind, if anything goes wrong, does the chancellor know what's going on at your level? No. So if you feel like you've been wronged, you go straight to the top, right? No. What do you think he does? He throws it back down. It's your problem down there. Deal with it. All right? So it's usually not good to go all the way to the top of anything if you want something to get done. So who makes up a department? Wow. I should probably get a newer picture of our department because almost half of these people have retired. Or quit. So department is made up of the chair, faculty, instructors. Now notice I say tenure track faculty. Are you familiar with the concept of tenure? Yes or no? All right. I am tenured. That means that I am employed for life. There is no way they can get rid of me unless I perform very, 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 very badly, or I commit some felony. All right? Or wait until I leave or die. All right? So, retire or die, whatever. So the one thing is that some faculty are not tenured yet, and they're working towards that. That's what they call tenure track faculty, are those who are both tenured and working towards tenure. Now, why is tenure around? What's the importance of tenure? Tenure was instituted many years ago to protect university, college faculty from speaking out against the government and the church on unpopular ideas. It was to encourage faculty to be able to think differently and just get ideas that were out there that some people would not agree with, all right? And so the protection of tenure would say that, you could say things that are just absolutely stupid, but it might be thought-provoking, and you're still protected. You don't have to be politically correct. Let's put it that way. All right. Is that a good thing? Maybe. I think there's a better methodology for this that actually still requires you to perform well. But tenure is what we have here, and so that's what we work with. Students. Since 40 and 50% of your credit hours will be from this department, you're an important part of this department as well. And as I said earlier, there's about 550 of you undergrads, and then there's another 300 graduate students. So remember how I talked about tenure and tenure track? Well, a person at the academic rank of assistant professor is going to be tenure track and not yet tenured. They have this position for 7 years or less if they're really good. So here's what happens. For the first 2 years, they work really hard, and then they put in a package that says, you should keep me for another 3 years. And then it's assessed, and if it looks good, then you're allowed to stay for another 3 years and continue working. At the end of 5 years, they'll submit a package that says, I've done so well in the last 5 years, you should grant me tenure, basically, and promotion. So you get promoted to the next level, associate professor, which I'll talk about in a minute. So, during the 6th year, faculty and administrators are assessing their package. And if it looks good and we think that they should be employed for life, tenured, then we will grant tenure. And at the end of the 6th year, then they will be promoted and tenured. If they don't get promoted and tenured at the end of 6 years, then they have 1 more year to find a job somewhere else. And they could still stay here and teach. All right? That sounds kind of scary, doesn't it? No? Sometimes it is. All right. So, to get tenure, they work hard to build a research program. They're judged on how much money they bring in, how many journal papers they write, how many PhD students they've graduated, and are they an adequate teacher? They don't have to be excellent, because usually in the first 5 years, they're learning how to teach anyhow. Because in college, when I went and got my PhD, they didn't teach me how to teach. I kind of learned that on the job. So be nice to our assistant professors. Teaching is not their only job. So some of you might have had Dr. Checky. Have you ever had her? She's an assistant professor. So she's going to go up for tenure next year. So if you're an associate professor, that means you've been tenured. And you're still judged on how hard you work and the research. Are you bringing in research money, grants, journal papers, PhD students, and teaching? And again, now teaching makes more of a difference, because you're not a newbie anymore. You should know what's going on. You should know how to teach. And so as an associate professor, if you want to be promoted to full professor, then you're going to be judged on the whole package. How much service you do for the university and for the world, how well you're known in the world in your particular area, and then if you're graduating PhD students, have journal papers, etc. All right? So if after any amount of time, it could be 2 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 20 years, you can actually put in your package to get promoted to full professor or just plain old professor. And if you are granted or raised to the rank, that means that you're a good teacher and you're an esteemed researcher. And I am the rank of full professor. Now there's some other ranks above this, like, well, distinguished professor, something like that. Those are mostly honorary or given because you do really well at research or teaching. I mean, like really well. Now there's also an instructor. So we have a couple of instructors in our department. You know Dr. Busaba or Ms. Busaba? Yes? No? She does senior design. You may not know her. How about John Hudak? You all know him. He's an instructor. He actually has only a bachelor's degree. So he's not tenure track. But let's put it this way. His skill set is so good. He has a job here as long as he wants. And he does a good job, too. Benny Benevito Rodriguez, he runs the labs. He does a couple of the labs. He's also an instructor, too. All right? Teaching is their only job. So they do a good job at that. And the nice thing is that our instructors typically have worked in industry. So John Hudak, industry. Benny, he's worked in industry. Nan Busaba, industry. So a lot of the instructors can tell you everything that goes on in industry. Heck, a lot of our faculty even have worked in industry. I worked for, did I ever mention where I was as a youngin'? Yes, no? I think I did in 1202, right? Yeah, I mean, I used to, in fact, I just said, I worked at IBM and then Ericsson as well. And then there's teaching assistants. A lot of the labs you might be taking have had a teaching assistant. We also use teaching assistants for grading. All right, so they're a part of our university as well. So the hint is, hopefully you're a little bit beyond this, but some of you may still need this. If you need help with courses, it is there. There is disability services if you need extra test time. There is the counseling services if you're having a little bit of difficulty with coping, stress, the death of a friend, the death of a parent. They're there to help. They're available for you. Take advantage of this because it's free services here at the university. There's also the UNC Charlotte Center for Academic Excellence, tutoring assistance, and our own College of Engineering MAPS office. If you have never been in the MAPS office in Smith, you're missing out because if you get some sort of supplemental instruction, you typically have a half grade point average higher in your time here at UNC Charlotte than if you never got any assistance from the MAPS office or Academic Excellence office. So, and this is actually good now that we're talking about the curriculum going forward. You need to understand what your curriculum is. There's advisors there that can help you, but in the end, you're in charge of your own career and your own future. So you need to make sure that you're on top of everything, all right? So plan your path, use advisors, perform well, make sure you study as often as you should. As I said, assistance is available from the instructor. I never have people come to office hours. Am I that intimidating? Just wondering. Teaching assistants, I know people go to see Brian. And that's good. Brian is there for your help for the lab exercises. Recitations, you should be going to recitations because it's interesting to see what other people ask, what kind of questions they ask, and to see how they're solved. And then, as I mentioned, the MAPS office. Oh, look at that. That's a picture taken. I had a whole bunch of students help me build some robots when we got them delivered. So, how much time will college take? Remember, college is a full-time job. So, if you are one of the unfortunate persons that has to work at the same time, you have two jobs, right? So, just remember, college is a full-time job. Even if you're taking 12 hours, you should be spending 12 times 3 hours outside the classroom. That's now 48 hours. And by the way, this is sophomore year, first semester. Junior year, it's even harder. In fact, first semester, junior year is the make it or break it semester. How much class or Will you work, be able to afford college? So again, I don't recommend working if you don't have to. But I did work part-time when I was in college. I think I had a 10-hour-a-week job that I can come and go as I please. Best thing ever. Do you need a car? Well, if you have a car, that means that you probably have to work to support that car because it's just like a child, right? It needs to be fed. It needs to be taken to the doctor. You need to find it a home. Sometimes it just sleeps on the street, I know. And do you get involved with extracurricular activities? Yes, by all means. A couple people here are extremely involved in car, and that's good. Are you learning anything in car? Anything that helps you for any classes, by the way? Okay, there you go. Working in an extracurricular or volunteering for an extracurricular activity is helping them with their college. Plus, it gets them to know faculty members. So if they would come later to me for a reference, it's like, oh yeah, you were a leader in the Charlotte Area Robotics Club. I remember that. Yeah, I'll write you a reference. Now, if you were to come just taking my class asking for a reference, I would say, huh? I just saw you in class. I didn't see you do anything extra. So think about that. So lessons learned that I can impart on you. The chancellor does not know intimate details about the working of the department. Basically, he is the Captain Stubing who steers the ship. Do you know who Captain Stubing is? Oh yeah, only one person who's probably has actually seen the TV show Love Boat. The captain does not know how to make the sandwiches in the cafeteria, right? So don't ask. It's best to start at the bottom, and if you have difficulty, then go up to the next level. Same with the provost and dean, all right? Leave your video game unit at home or any other type of obsessive behavior that you might have. This is a full-time job. You should actually be on campus working this full-time job during the hours, daytime hours, like a real job, all right? You want to be successful? I see like Susanna. Susanna or Suzanne? Susanna. I see her and Hunter down at the end of this hallway studying every single day. Well, maybe not every single day, but all the time, all right? That will pay off in the end. If you have the discipline, you spend a lot of time, you're going to get better grades. Don't work your first semester, I already said that. Study, have fun, but not too much fun. And of course, watch where you park. I think you probably learned that one already, right? And that is me. I think you know how to get a hold of me, don't you? By the way, I should also mention that if you've been to my website, I've got all sorts of stuff out there, different classes. You know, I've taught this class years and years and years ago. Oh, look at that. What happens when you get older? You get, well, that's pretty wide. Am I that fat? Yeah. You get darker. All right. Yeah. Or, I mean, your hair gets lighter, right? And eventually you just get a mustache and goatee. So, and then sometimes you just get so crazy you start petting the heads of dogs. All right. Any questions? All right. Thank you very much.